must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you very much for watching Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from the Political Command Center, the second capital city in Mombasa, here across the bridge. There is no worry, but there is worry in Kenya, the stalemate, constitutional stalemate. This is the editor's memo. Miriam, your panel is seated back in Kenya, Nairobi, from Sharon Gitonga. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Matsanga, and good morning at the Political Command Center, and good morning to you, Miriam, back at the headquarters in Nairobi, and to my colleague panelists, Professor Jared Onyari and Samuel Tawish. It is a pleasure to be part of this morning show. Good morning.
Good morning, Africa, Miriam. Good morning across in Narok, the man who stands by himself, with himself, for himself, after himself, with all the animals across Mara. Good morning.
Indeed, a very good morning to you, Dr. David Matsanga. Good morning to Miriam Ogutu at our communication headquarters. Good morning to Professor Jared Onyari and, of course, Sharon Gitonga, and all our viewers who are tuned into this program this morning in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. A pleasure to join you on the editor's memo. Good morning, Dr. Ari.
Thank you very much. On the editor's memo this morning, I have a pleasure to welcome Professor Jared Onyari, who has been away on leave in Lamu, in his hideout across near the Indian Ocean. I don't know what he's investigating or what he's trying to get there. Welcome back from Lamu, Professor Jared Onyari, our in-house analyst and a strategist, mediator, a champlain. What name can I give you, man? Oh, you're voila. A peace negotiator. The world. On Friday, we want to see the skills that you have. Those skills of, are we having the vaccine? Oh, the vaccine is given to us after people have eaten food and it is big enough. Thank you. Professor Jared Onyari, test the microphone.
Yes, nimewasalimu nyota mchambo.
Kutoka Lamu. Why? Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Back to the studios in Nairobi. Beloved lady Miriam Ogutu. There is no other middle name. I don't know it. I wish I knew that name, but it is straightforward. Miriam Ogutu. There must be another hidden name. Thank you very much. Our senior anchor, senior presenter, senior researcher, down on the desk in Nairobi. Thank you very much, Miriam. Good morning.
Doctor, good morning to you and good morning to our viewers.
Back to the subject, editor's memo. A crisis is slowly building up in the Kenyan courts. The Kenyan state of governance, there seems to be a limbo. It must be removed. There is something which is not working. There is a stalemate which we are facing and we are glaring at it. It's coming. The 14 days are ticking off. The Court of Appeal, to me, if you asked me as the editor, I'll tell you the Court of Appeal will not return a favorable verdict. It's the same forest, the same monkeys in the same forest. I don't think they will cut their trees. So what can be done? To you, who is a Kenyan who wants justice? Who is a Kenyan who wants services? Who is a Kenyan whose services socially are being starved, denied by the erratic court of activists? Are we following the law? Can I ask a question today, this morning, in Savannah time in Nairobi and Kenya. Is the constitution of Kenya, therefore, very, very bad? Can I, as an outsider, can I say, because as an observer, almost everything that has come and gone through that court, that looks like it works in some other places, is very bad. Can we say, therefore, that we cut and paste this constitution without looking at the ramifications? Am I safe in safe hands, if I can use the word of Atoli? Am I in the safe hands of those who will support me when I say this constitution was made by cut and paste from the American system and the South African system without looking at the ramifications that it could cause in the future for Kenya? Am I safe, Miriam? Am I safe?
In line with the Constitution?
Yes. Am I safe regarding the Constitution, Miriam? Take it over.
All right. Okay. So as we wait for Doc to get that, perhaps there's a story here on page 10 of the Standard newspaper. Attorney General Kihara Kariuki has accused 3 High Court judges of changing the Constitution through the back door to strip President Uhuru Kenyatta of his powers to appoint judges. The AG, in his appeal to stop 6 judges rejected by President Kenyatta from assuming office, argued that the decision by Justices George Dulu, William Musyoka and James Wakiaga amounted to a constitutional coup by making declarations not backed by the law. So we are seeing here the law and the Constitution is being put to a test, and Mr. Kariuki, in his appeal filed yesterday through Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto, raised 17 grounds of appeal, arguing that allowing the judges to assume office by bypassing the president in their swearing will create a constitutional crisis and dent the country's respect for the rule of law. Allowing the High Court decision to stand will mean that judiciary has the power to amend the Constitution through the back door. The judgment was an illegality with no perceptible origin in the words or design of the Constitution, said Mr. Ogeto. The AG's appeal means that President Kenyatta has no intention of appointing the 6 judges within 14 days as ordered by the High Court. He also wants the Court of Appeal to stop Chief Justice Martha Koome from swearing them in when the 14 days lapse. And that, I think, was the basis of this conversation as we wait for Doc to come back in. Prof, maybe you would like to chip in and perhaps pick it up from where Doctor left it.
Yes, Miriam, be it as it may, Miriam, this matter should come to conclusion. Whichever way it happens, and allow me today to take the contrary to what the government does, Miriam. If you are accusing the 6 judges are corrupt, you are having evidence, Miriam, of whatever allegation you have against the 6 judges, Miriam. The judiciary, Miriam, does not arrest. The judiciary does not prosecute. Miriam, if the president has got information, and Miriam, hear this. These are the serving judges. What are you telling us, Miriam? If it is not witch hunting, if it is not marriage, if it's not politics at play, Miriam, what else can you tell me the executive have, or the intelligence, so and so of these judges have committed this kind of crime? Why don't we have them arrested, prosecuted, Miriam, and then the judicial acquits them, Miriam? That is what rule of law and good governance is all about. Miriam, I think we are not fair to those judges, Miriam. They have got families, Miriam. They are fathers, they are brothers, they are sisters, Miriam. They are uncles to some people, Miriam. You cannot be condemned, Miriam, that you are corrupt, Miriam. Why don't we have them arrested, Miriam? Why can't we have them arrested? And in any event, Miriam, why can't we just petition the Judicial Service Commission, Miriam, with the evidence we have, so that they are removed from judicial, Miriam? That's why Dr. Masanga said, even some of the people who are in government, Miriam, when we say these things, they don't like us. So whichever way, Miriam, when Naredi is pregnant, Miriam, when the 9th month comes, Miriam, she has to deliver. There's no way out. Deliver a stillborn baby, arrive baby, or a stillborn baby. Miriam, the pregnancy cannot go beyond that. We cannot have this matter, Miriam, in just going to perpetual infinity, Miriam, of not ending, Miriam. I think now, if I were the Attorney General, Miriam, and this is one of the darkest hours in the history of this country, Miriam, the kind of the people who are advising the government when it comes to legal issues, Miriam. They say, Miriam, if I were them, why then they use the 14 days of appeal to have these charges arrested? So this is the matter which I'm not going to discover, Miriam. And let me tell Miriam, and I want to wonder. Miriam, you want to tell me that the president and the speakers of the two parliaments and the chief justice cannot sit together, Miriam, with the president? Honestly, Miriam, they can't sit. And then they are saying that each of them, Miriam, are heading the head of government, Miriam. Miriam, don't you think that they can be able to raise these issues when they are out of them, the kind of difficulties, Miriam, they are finding to run these arms of government, Miriam? What does this independence of each other means, Miriam? They are supposed to be interdependent, Miriam. These concerns must be raised, Miriam. Miriam, let me tell you. The law, you may not like the law, but that's what you have. I remember here Dr. Masanga say we have got the worst constitution. Yes, that's what we have at the moment. And unless we change it, Miriam, that's it. If you have born a lame person with disabilities, Miriam, what can you do? That's what you are. This is the constitution we have, Miriam. We started with BBI. We wanted to amend in areas where we are not comfortable. But in the meantime, we have to comply and follow it. That's what it says.
But Professor, it has been the tradition that the president has to preside over, when these judges take the oath of office to serve in the courts. And so that has been the tradition. So by the judges issuing this ruling and saying you're giving 14 days to the president if he doesn't appoint these judges, and then, there will be a sworn in.
Miriam, that is true. Those are the tradition, and that's what the constitution says, Miriam. Do you know what these judges are accused of? Do you know yourself? Do you know yourself, Miriam, what are these charges are accused of? They are being accused of being corrupt, correct? And the president has got that kind of information. And I'm saying, with that kind of information, Miriam, why don't we petition the Judicial Service Commission for impeachment? Has anybody done that, Miriam? Nobody. So how does the president assume that the Kenyans will know that these judges are corrupt? Who investigates, Miriam? Director for Criminal Investigation, correct? Who prosecutes, Miriam? Office of the Director of Prosecution, Miriam. Sure, Miriam, do you want to? Miriam, the rule of natural justice says, Miriam, we have to give each party an opportunity to express. So the president cannot condemn those 6 charges with the overwhelming evidence he has, without us subjecting them, Miriam, to the rule of law.
Okay. So now, Prof, I hear you. This is what the AG says, that allowing the High Court decision to stand will mean that judiciary has the power to amend the Constitution through the back door. Their judgment was an illegality with no perceptible origin in the words of design of the Constitution. So for them to have given this ruling, they're saying this goes against the Constitution, and there seems to be amending the Constitution, and that is according to the Attorney General. And I'll just go back to the question of the tradition and how we've known such appointments to have been carried out throughout the history of this country. Samuel Tawish.
Thank you so much, Miriam Ogutu. Thank you to all the panelists, including, of course, Professor Jared Onyari, who has just made the submission. I agree with the sentiments that has been put forth by Professor Jared Onyari, to the extent that just the other day, listening to Dr. David Masanga, he did really challenge the office of the president that if indeed they have this information and they fear maybe there will be a backlash from the office of the president really to share this information with the public, then they should supply the same to him so that he can be able to share with the media. And I think what Professor Gerald Nyari has really alluded to is very, very of immense importance, that we cannot continue to vilify or even to accuse the 6 judges of having been maybe of having any integrity questions or having been involved in corrupt activities when we cannot take any action beyond the allegations, beyond any kind of reports that are going around about, of course, their integrity or their character or even their competence in as far as discharging their duties are concerned. In fact, Kenyans are asking out here, Miriam, that indeed, if these judges are not fit even to be appointed to the offices that they have been nominated to get into, why do we have them in the first place really serving in the capacities that they are serving at the moment? I think these are very critical questions that we cannot run away from if we are to remain objective in as far as addressing this stalemate is concerned. But be that as it may, I think we've gotten to another level of discussing now about the ramification and the implication of the pronouncement that was made by the High Court just the other day, of course, giving President Uhuru Kenyatta a 14-day ultimatum to appoint these 6 judges, a failure to which the Chief Justice will be obligated really to go ahead and swear in these 6 judges to be formally assumed to have really gotten appointed into those offices, Miriam. I think we are staring at a very turbulent times in as far as matters constitution and legality are concerned, because Miriam, this is something that has never happened in this country. It may really become a precedent if at all the Chief Justice is going to swear in these 6 judges, assuming that the president doesn't go ahead and swear them. But how did we get ourselves where we are? I think these are critical questions that beg answers, Miriam. When you listen and read extensively the pronouncement by the High Court, it is a directive to either President Uhuru Kenyatta, rather to both President Uhuru Kenyatta and Chief Justice Martha Koome, to the effect that if the president is not going to appoint these 6 judges by the 4th of November, then these judges would have been deemed appointed automatically. That then gives the Chief Justice an okay really to go ahead and appoint them. I do not think that in the event the president really fails to appoint these judges, unless something happens in between, unless the Court of Appeal then vacates this judgment or puts a stay on this judgment, then the Chief Justice will have no choice by law really not to go ahead and appoint these judges, because again, this is a court order that has been put forth by the judges, by the High Court, a court and judges that actually serve below the Chief Justice. And I don't think she will really want to get into the queue of the people or institutions or individuals who want to go against the rule of law or constitutionalism, if I should put it that way, because what argument will the Chief Justice, for instance, advance by not going ahead and appointing these judges, assuming the President of the Republic of Kenya doesn't appoint them by 4th of November, Miriam? So it is a catch-22 situation for Chief Justice Martha Koome. She's actually caught between a hard place and a rock, really to navigate these affairs by making sure that she upholds the rule of law and constitutionalism at the same time, but also making sure that she doesn't really provoke the legal implication, the legal and political implication, because by the end of the day, she really needs to work hand in hand with the executive and the parliament being the other arms of government. So it is a very dicey situation. It is something that will call really immense wisdom to be able for this country really to come out of it without hurting either of the sides, Miriam. So how would we then find a remedy to this problem as I wind up, Miriam, on my submission? I suppose now that we have an appeal being lodged by the, of course, the Attorney General through the Solicitor General Ken Ogeto, really to vacate or put a stay on this particular order. I hope there are arguable matters. It's an arguable case that maybe the Court of Appeal will find it prudent really to put a stay order on this particular judgment by the High Court, so that maybe we can have a moderated kind of agreement, a moderated kind of approach towards finding a solution to this problem. Because if the Chief Justice goes ahead and officially appoints and swear in these judges, and then the president would have been rendered irrelevant in as far as execution of his mandate and obligation as mandated by the Constitution. You understand, Miriam? Because then it means the president is not able to carry out his duties as mandated by the Constitution. So what then essentially will we be putting this country in? We'll be putting this country into a constitutional crisis, and I do not think that we are ready to do that at this particular moment. We must have a moderated approach so that by the end of the day, we find a solution, just like my other elder brother, Professor Jared Onyari, has been submitted. Thank you, Miriam.
Very well said. Samuel Tawish now, the Solicitor General, Kennedy Ogeto, raised about 17 grounds of appeal, arguing that allowing the judges to assume office by bypassing the president in their swearing in will create a constitutional crisis and dent the country's respect for the rule of law. Will that be the case, Sharon?
Thank you very much, Miriam, and of course my co-panelists for your sentiments. And to a large extent, I definitely agree with all that has been said. And it's actually going to be quite a messy situation. And, now all eyes are on, the Chief Justice Martha Koome to see if she's, really going to go ahead and appoint the judges. And, in turn, this is actually going to set her in a collision path with the executive. So it's safe to say that she's actually between a rock and a hard place, despite actually the president having cited his dissatisfaction over integrity issues. So all eyes are, just like I've said, we are all waiting to see how this is actually going to turn out, because in one way or another, you realize that this is actually going to set us into a crisis, even matters constitutionally. And just like, my co-panelists have talked about, I think it's high time that this matter just, come to conclusion. The fact that, the president has said that there's actually evidence, if we are able to see if this evidence is actually put up on the media, on the media and to the masses, to actually come to see what actually led the president's verdict. So I think from then heads have to start rolling from the external forces of the DCI and the DPP. And once the evidence is out here, let us see, these judges actually being prosecuted and arrested. I believe there are more other qualified and competent people. If they are truly incompetent, we can always have other qualified and competent judges who actually fit the ball, because you realize these all back and forth is not taking us anywhere. At the end of the day, we need judges, and especially looking at we are all talking about fighting corruption and all other matters justice. At the end of the day, we need judges. So I think it's high time this matter is put to bed. If there's actually evidence, let us have these judges being prosecuted, and then let us have other people who are competent and fit the ball coming on board.
Okay, thank you.
Miriam, actually, just before maybe, I'm sure maybe you want to cue in Dr. Masanga, because he's an authority in himself, and I may not necessarily be able to argue after he has spoken. Miriam, what I want to add on what, of course, Sharon has spoken about is the fact that when you look into the interpretation and the argument being advanced by the High Court, or the judges at the High Court, in as far as making this particular verdict that we are now actually grappling with is concerned, is that probably it's like they have looked into the constitution making in terms of lawmaking process in the National Assembly or even in the County Assembly as far as the Kenyan law is concerned. Because you understand, when Parliament, for example, enacts bills, those bills are only deemed workable upon assentment into law by the president. Once the president sends the bill into law, then it becomes operative. And if he doesn't do that, once the bill has been submitted to him in a record 14 days, then that law is deemed to have taken effect, even if the president will not have really assented into it, unless he brings it back with a petition or more recommendation on what needs to be done on that particular bill. So I think largely to some extent, It is like the courts have borrowed from that particular presumption. That is why we are having this particular situation in the courts today, that if the president is not going to do this within a record of 14 days, then the Chief Justice has no choice but to swear in these new judges. But the question then we should be asking ourselves, has it been determined by a court of law or through parliament or through an impeachment that the president has become a functus official? Has he become irrelevant or inconsequential? Has he become is he not able really to undertake his duties and mandate as enshrined and dictated in our constitution? I do not think so, and that is why if the Chief Justice goes ahead and swear in the judges, these 6 judges, I can tell you for sure, like Dr. Masanga is saying, we are staring at a disruption of our constitutional order as a country, because again, it will open a Pandora's box to an extent that even the National Assembly can even begin an impeachment process against President Uhuru Kenyatta, because in essence, it will be deemed that the president is unable really to execute his duties and mandate as dictated by the Constitution. I submit, Miriam.
Very well,
Yes,
thank you.
Miriam.
Yes.
Let me just come in. Article 166 of the Kenyan Constitution, Miriam, is very clear.
Read it for us, Prof.
Who appoints? The president shall appoint. Do you know the word? It is not may, it is not will, but the president shall.
That's
Perhaps,
an order.
Sharon, who have come from school very recently, can remember what they read. The word shall is mandatory. You have to do it, Miriam. And the criteria has been set, Miriam, that the Chief Justice and the Deputy Chief Justice, in accordance with the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission, recommendations. All the judges in accordance with the recommendation of the Judicial Service, that is Article 161B. Each of the superior judges shall be appointed from among persons who hold degree in law. We have no consideration on that. We are in agreement. Must possess the required experience under clause 3, applicable irrespective whether it was in Kenya or in a Commonwealth country, Miriam. And then 2C, Miriam say, have high moral character and integrity and impartiality. The Judicial Service, Miriam, do not have this information. The president, I say, guys, before I appoint, I'm not a conduit. I have this information about these judges, Miriam. He has given an appendix, Miriam, to back to the Judicial Service Commission. Why is the Judicial Service Commission ignoring? Why is it ignoring, Miriam? They should give a recommendation back to the president to appoint a tribunal, Miriam, to look into this matter.
So what I hear you to be saying, Professor, is that the reservations that President Uhuru Kenyatta had over these judges, he has shared that with the JSC. Is that the case?
Yes, Miriam, let me hear you to say, the president is the chief executive of this country. He's the head of government and the head of state, Miriam. He cannot have this kind of information, Miriam, and then he comes to the press. He cannot. Who gave the recommendation? Are these people, guys? Yes, you have given me recommendation. Why do you think Miriam is not having issues? He did not have issues with 34. Because he did not, because their moral character was not questioned, their integrity was not questioned, their impartiality was not questioned.
But Professor,
he has said, among these 6 judges, Miriam, I am not satisfied of their moral character, because Miriam, the intelligence people of this country, they don't report to me, they don't report to the Chief Justice, they report to the president. And once he has gotten that kind of information, he shares that information with relevant institutions, Miriam. In this case, he has shared with the Chief Justice and the Judicial Service Commission. So now, why are they not taking action, Miriam?
Okay. And Prof, this is what part of the ruling, I think, said, if I could just paraphrase what they said, part of that ruling that was made last week, is that the Attorney General, who is the chief legal advisor to the executive, was part of this interviewing process. Why is it that he did not raise this issue on behalf of the executive, and he was part of the people who cleared these judges for the appointment?
He is a legal advisor. The intelligence information of a country is not reported to the Attorney General. It is reporting to the president. The judicial, the Attorney General sitting in the Judicial Service Commission, they carried all the interviews. At the point of the interview, Miriam, there were no issues to these churches, Miriam. The Judicial Service Commission did not have the information. But now the president said, guys, I have this kind of information. Can you look into it? They are saying they cannot reopen. Okay. Yes, let us go by them. Where in the Constitution of Kenya? Where is in the Constitution of Kenya? Does it say that if the president does not appoint within 14 days, then the chief justice will go ahead and swear? Where is the Constitution?
I think Miriam, Professor Nyari is right to that extent.
To that regard.
Again,
but also there's Tawish, just before you, hold on, I want you to come in, but also I want you to, as you respond to that, also perhaps attempt to respond to this question I want to pose to you. There are instances where you cannot divulge certain information about certain things because of issues of national security and so forth and so on. But when it comes to public interest, sometimes you have to break these laws, I think. But go ahead, Tawish.
Well, Miriam, yes, I do agree with you on that note. But again, assuming, because the people who are not coming out really to make this known to the public, because if the president got the intel information and he has shared the same with the relevant authorities, say, for example, the Office of the DCI, or even the Chief Justice, because I'm sure the president must have shared this information, even with the former Chief Justice and now the new Chief Justice that we have in place. Why they cannot come to the public to the open and tell us exactly the reservations that the president has raised about these particular judges, and maybe what then would the way forward. But just like all of us have raised a similar reservation as to the effect that if at all there are any queries of integrity or character or competence on these personalities, on these persons or these characters, then why don't we see action? Every authority is actually mum on this question, and that is why you see people seem really to vindicate. They are continuing to stay and discharging of their mandate and duties in their respective offices that they continue to hold up to this particular moment. Because, you know, as Africans, we have not yet gotten to a level where people take moral responsibility that because my name has been adversely mentioned on this particular matter, then I have to step aside or quit altogether. That doesn't happen with Africans, and that is our tradition. They have to wait until all mechanism, judicial or otherwise, have been exhausted before someone can now hang the boots and say, I surrender. But as it is now, Miriam, these people will continue to be in office. But just like I wanted to farm up on what Professor Jared Onyari has mentioned, indeed, Article 166(1) of our Kenyan Constitution does give us an explicit procedure upon which we are supposed to appoint and give these judges to the superior courts. One, the JSC has to recommend to the president, and just like Professor Onyari has mentioned, the president then has to appoint, which means then the appointing authority in this case is President Uhuru Kenyatta, and nobody else, nobody, I insist, can purport to want to actually abrogate themselves such duties or mandate really to appoint these judges. Without the two happening, Miriam, the president cannot go and appoint without a recommendation of JSC. And the JSC or these judges also cannot assume responsibility to the superior courts without the appointment from President Uhuru Kenyatta himself. So whatever kind of things are happening, Miriam, in my interpretation, is really an attempt, and I agree with the Attorney General, that it is an attempt by the courts, and particularly the High Court, to try to change and be part and parcel of the constitution-making process and not in the interpretation.
All right, so a constitutional coup here in the making, I don't know, not that serious, but, and also last time we were having this conversation, there's the issue of, there's a process where this appointment has to follow, and Prof has read us what the Constitution says, but there's also the issue of, they have to be gazetted in the government press, and that falls under the office of the President. Professor. They also create another law to solve that.
Miriam, it is because someone is not working somewhere, and you remember the kind of concern I raised, Miriam, that some of the leadership and the management skills of some of our people in office, Miriam, they lack in this. Miriam, in fact, I'm telling you, Miriam, even if you take this mother to kindergarten kids, Miriam, if they have known to write, Miriam, they write and read, Miriam, they can do it. What I want to say, Miriam, that I will ask the judiciary, the head of the judiciary, to be sober. I will ask Miriam, the two arms of the two houses of Parliament, the Senate and the Speaker Miriam, and the government and the President Miriam, to work together. We have got one country. There's one thing I like about Martha Karua, Miriam. We are not, she said this, we are not in a beauty contest, Miriam. And who is more beautiful and who is not more beautiful, who can work well, who can smile. Miriam, we have got a country to learn, and Miriam, we have got things to do them in a proper way. Miriam, let me tell you. Miriam, do you know that I'm the Secretary General for the Judicial Workers Union?
Are you now? So we have an insider here.
Do you know that? Although they have frustrated me, but I know how to do it. Miriam,
the same judiciary.
One of the charges, Miriam, is alleged, Miriam, she attempts or she rapes, she harasses female employees, Miriam. That is integrity is questioned, Miriam. And the president has got that information, Miriam. There's even there was rumors going around that even wanted to rape a fellow church, Miriam. So, Miriam, when the president has got this kind of information, Miriam, do you want to ignore? And if he has shared with the Judicial Service Commission, Miriam, even if we don't even go for impeachment, Miriam, don't you think that is a disciplinary issue? You work in the Punchline Africa, Miriam. You don't. Stephen does not harass you and everybody else, Miriam. We have to respect ourselves as Koreans. It is arranged, Miriam, that one of the charges, Miriam, has got deals with Al-Shabaab, the terrorists, Miriam. Do you want, Miriam, the president, to ignore that and has got that kind of information, Miriam? Why is it that the Judicial Service Commission, Miriam, does not want to process this? I'm really wondering, Miriam. And why is it that even the churches, Miriam, who are trying to give themselves the powers which they don't have? In fact, Miriam, if it was in a developed democracy, Miriam, and where things are working, Miriam, this kind of judges, we don't even need to appeal. They are supposed to be removed in office because, Miriam, which constitution are they using? Do they assume that they are a creature, Miriam, that they can make orders? You don't make orders in vain. You make orders which can be implemented, Miriam. Yes, they have said the president, well, Miriam, hear this. Some people are kidding around. Yes, they can go ahead and swear them, Miriam. And they are elevating some to the High Court, Miriam. Do they have a budget for their salary? When you hear me saying that, do they have that kind of budget? Is it not going to be under the supplementary estimate, Miriam, which can be passed in Parliament? That's why I recommended it. These people are working, they must work in tandem, Miriam. Yes, Miriam, you have sworn them in. Are you going to cassette them? Do they give them? Did they give them their judgment? You have it read there. Did they say that and you go ahead and cassette them? Miriam, we are not in a contest, Miriam, who is powerful and who is not powerful, Miriam. They should be able to give the president ample time, Miriam, to conclude his legacy. If they have managed, and if they think that he has not followed the law, he has not followed the law the way they are alleging, Miriam. He has got less than 10 months in office. And I'm seeing some of the other characters who are campaigning to be the presidential election, Miriam. They are also saying that they should appoint them. If we have waited for 2 years, we can wait for 10 months. If the president is such a bad person, so that they can have them casted, Miriam. This pure witch hunting, malice, Miriam, and undermining the president, the office of the president. And the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has been undermined for so long, Miriam, and they should make use of his executive powers, Miriam. The executive powers of any president anywhere in the world is never challenged, Miriam. Yes, you can do all the other things. The which I said, Parliament makes bills. The bill for the president to ascend them to become law. If he has a reservation, Miriam, he returns it to Parliament. And the Parliament, for them to overturn what the president has said, they must raise 2/3 threshold, Miriam. And if they don't, what the president has given the reservation, it becomes law. And the president has made a reservation of the 6 judges. If they are afraid to take action, Miriam, have they written back and said that, Miriam, all the allegations which the president you are arresting, we find no basis. So Miriam, I am in a dilemma that who wants to appear strong, and even some members of the judiciary thinks that the executive is having more powers. They should think of going there to work there and leave the bar, the bench.
All right, Professor, thank you so much. Sharon, as we conclude.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and of course my panelists for your sentiments. And indeed, like I said, now all eyes on Martha Koome to see how she's going to navigate through all these issue, and wisdom is going to be of quite essence. And an overreach is actually not a virtue. So this whole chest stamping by the judiciary, I think it has now gone overboard, and it's very clear that they are working so hard to ensure that they frustrate the government of Uhuru to their core. But at the end of the day, the president is the supreme authority in any nation, so that should actually ring a bell in their minds, even as they try to chest stamp and activists do the judicial activism by trying to monitor every move by the president. But again, they should know that at the end of the day, the president is the one who is that the supreme authority. And it is not about a bid of any superior power. The president, at the end of the day, he is the superior power.
Okay, kwa hivyo si popularity contest. Tawish.
And we need to separate, I think, politics and matters of justice. We have politicized everything in this country, and it's, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Sharon. Tawish, your final thoughts.
Yes, Miriam. Thank you so much, Miriam. I think as we conclude on this topic, it is very important for us really to allow that room for this matter to be canvassed in a way that is not going to potentially put at risk the constitutionalism or the constitutional order in this country. Because again, Miriam, just like the constitution is explicit, for instance, if President Uhuru Kenyatta, being the president-elect, is not sworn into office by the Chief Justice or the Deputy Chief Justice, then it will be impossible for him really to be sworn in, or for anyone to purport to want to swear in him. So I think this must really ring in the minds and the heads of those in the judiciary, that they cannot try and make overlaps in as far as the interpretation of the Constitution is concerned. In fact, in this matter, it's not even trying to interpret, because what people read out here, it is like the judiciary and our courts are trying to amend the Constitution to their convenience. And this is not something that as Kenyans, we are really going to allow. We understand that there's a stalemate. There's a standoff in as far as the appointment of these judges is concerned. Both arms of government should really listen into each other. They should listen to the reservation that the president has, and the president as well should really listen to why the judiciary or the JSC is insisting that these individuals must be appointed to those offices. I think by the end of the day, we must get a solution that is for the best interest of the people of Kenya. I submit, Miriam.
Thank you, Professor. Is this a making of a constitutional coup, amending, some articles in the Constitution that is not backed by the law?
Yeah, Miriam, on how you amend the Kenyan Constitution, Miriam, it is very clear, Miriam, and nobody filed a case before the judges, Miriam, to interpret the Constitution, Miriam. There was no interpretation, which was it was given before them, Miriam. You give orders in tandem with the Constitution, Miriam. This one, they are fed on their part, Miriam, and it's a very good scenario. Let us watch and see how far they will go. Yeah, I can say the way Miguna say, come on, baby, come on. Let us see how far they will go.
Okay.
Yeah, well, for what I know, the president is not going to appoint them. It's not going to accept them for them, Miriam. We don't have their budget, Miriam. Even Parliament is not. In fact, now they are even making it worse, Miriam.
All right.
When it will appear, when they will go for supplementary budget to be discussed in Parliament, Miriam, we will want to know. They will, in fact, in any event, Miriam, Again, that's the parliament has faced their oversight role, Miriam. They are supposed to oversight all institutions in this country, Miriam. They are supposed to invite the Chief Justice and the part of the Judicial Service Commission, Miriam. They give us reasons why they are ignoring the moral character which has been raised to the churches, Miriam, the impartiality issues, Miriam, the integrity issues about the let them just go to Parliament and answer. Those are members of Parliament and Miriam and the oversight. And I think from where I sit, I should be doing that. I should be making a petition so that they can be able to appear before Parliament, the committee. Let them just ignore and see. It is very interesting. Let us see the independence, Miriam. I will do it, or another Kenyan should do it, Miriam. Let them just go there to explain why they are ignoring the commendation which has been given by the president, Miriam.
Okay. And
let them just go before that just and commission, Miriam, and in Parliament, Miriam, and say we found no basis on this. And when you find no basis, Miriam, in this, you must have those who have got that information, Miriam. They must come to you and explain, Miriam. We are not going to have this matter rest at this level, Miriam. In fact, he has given us the opportunity, Miriam, to follow this issue into its logical conclusion.
All right. Thank you so much. And just a couple of months ago, I think, the Chief Justice, Martha Koome, expressed her discomfort with the judicial staff going to Parliament in that committee and being grilled there. I think she said, she tried to say that the judiciary is an independent...
That is in our constitution, Miriam.
She challenged that.
It is an oversight, Miriam.
It is part of that. So
the president does not oversight. The president does not oversight. The judiciary does not oversight.
Parliament, yes.
Yeah, Parliament oversight. Let them just go and explain.
All right, Doc.
If he's saying that he's having a reservation, Miriam, whom do they want them to oversight them?
They're saying
that is balancing of power, Miriam.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes, indeed. It's Professor Jared Onyari. Thank you so much, Samuel Tawich. Thank you. And Sharon Gitonga. Now, let me just read a bit of that and then we'll conclude. The High Court had ruled that the president was in violation of the Constitution by failing to appoint the 6 over-integrity questions which had already been handled by the Judicial Service Commission where they conducted the interviews. Now, according to the judges, there had to be a way out of the constitutional stalemate created when the president appointed 34 judges in June and left out 6, since the Constitution did not contemplate a situation where the appointing authority refuses to perform his functions. Okay, so you only perform your function if you appoint.
What have they said on C, Miriam? It's good. You don't just read the Constitution selectively, Miriam.
Yes, so that is what they said. So now let me just conclude this, Prof. The judges stated that since the Constitution does not expressly provide for the place, time, and the person to swear in the judges, which is wrong. I think, Prof, you've read what the Constitution says. So there is nothing that bars the CJ from performing the function and the judges to be deemed as having been duly appointed to their respective positions. I don't know what Constitution is this they're interpreting, but that's what they said. But we read the Constitution. Prof, you read it for us and we know what the Constitution says. Thank you so much. I'll see you later with more news from across the continent at 3 p.m. On the Diaspora Dispatches. Again, thank you so much, Professor and Samuel Tawish and Sharon Gitonga. My name is Miriam Gotti. It has been a pleasure. Bye-bye for now.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace, but peace depends on us.